Is Jake Oettinger actually a top 7 NHL goalie? After a rough season where he posted just an .899 save percentage, that ranking feels pretty generous. So, is he overrated or is his reputation carrying him?
You're Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans. I'm Joey Erickson, forward producer of 105 Through the Fan. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Join all the action at FanDuel.com to play daily dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a home run this MLB season. It's time once again to talk about the most highly scrutinized player on the Dallas Stars. That is Jake Oettinger. Yes, the Dallas Stars' number one netminder, but over the last few seasons, he hasn't exactly played like a number one. His backup, Casey DeSmith, has maybe outperformed him over the last few seasons. But Jake Oettinger still has a very good reputation, so good that the NHL Network had him ranked 7th among the top 10 goalies in the NHL right now. And it has me asking the question, is he overrated? Or is his reputation and just his track record justify him being that high on this particular ranking? You let me know in the comments below. I'll share some of my thoughts on today's episode of Locked On Stars. So if I just plain answer that question, I feel like it's a little bit of both. I think his track record, his overall performance in the NHL is definitely above average, but I believe a lot of it has to do with his reputation, and that's why they have him so high. Or maybe not just his reputation, but the projection he is going to have a big season. And over the last couple of years, we've gone into each year feeling like this could be the year that Jake Oettinger really pops off. And of course, last season was very underwhelming. And he came into the league, had a really good first season. Of course, we know what he did in that series against Calgary, and it feels like we're still waiting to see that Jake Oettinger once again on a more consistent basis. Now, he shows spurts of it. He shows stretches where he does play like a top 5 goalie in the NHL. But his last year was very underwhelming, an .899 save percentage, as I said off the top. But you have to factor in his goals against average wasn't all that bad. If you look at his goals against, 2.59, and if you look at the top goaltenders in the NHL, that's within the top 15. And even his save percentage, for as bad as it was, he was still middle of the pack. So it shows you that our expectations are sky high, and they should be. He is a franchise goaltender, and it's funny, he came in at number 7 on the NHL Network rankings because he's the 7th highest paid goalie in the NHL. Above him, Logan Thompson, Jeremy Swayman, Ilya Sorokin, Igor Shesterkin, Connor Hellebuck, and Andrei Vasilevsky. But it feels like we're getting to the point with Jake Oettinger where we view him and we think of him as an Ilya Sorokin or Shesterkin, but in reality, he's been more middle of the pack over the last few seasons. And I'm not saying Jake Oettinger cannot reach those levels. And as I've said multiple times on the podcast recently, the save percentage and goals against numbers had gone down in the NHL. Our save percentage goes down, goals against goes up. And that was just across the league. It wasn't just Jake Oettinger, but the expectations we have for Jake are sky high. And he's being paid to have those expectations as a top 10 goaltender in the NHL. So I think it's justified that we start to see a more consistent Jake Oettinger. And that's why I think this year is big for Jake. It feels like this is the last season where people that have maybe backed Jake Oettinger in the past, and that includes myself, I've always gone to bat for Jake. I still think he is a wonderful goaltender. And I think many fans would rather have him than other options in the NHL. I think sometimes we're a bit spoiled and don't realize how good we truly have it with Jake Oettinger. Doesn't mean he doesn't deserve to be criticized when he lets up soft goals or has bad stretches, because he's had too many of those moments over the last couple of seasons. And for the most part, the Stars are a really good team. They've won 50 games, 3 straight years. If he plays to the top 5 level we expect of him in the NHL, like, the Stars should have a really, really good shot at winning the Stanley Cup. He just has not shown that enough night in and night out over the last few seasons. So I don't think he's the most overrated goaltender in the NHL, but I still believe the NHL Network and the media that puts together this ranking is still basing it, or at least having that little hope of, well, we've known Jake has been incredible in the past, and he's just 27. He's still really young at the end of the day. He's still really young, and we're expecting him to have a big season this upcoming year, which I think is fair. But this is truly, I think, the last season where fans, media can really just go to bat for him one last season. And at the end of the upcoming campaign, he has no more excuses. He either plays to the level of a number one, or he falls short once again and feels like he didn't achieve any of his goals, like the ones he set last year, making Team USA, or at least playing on Team USA. The 4 Nations a couple years ago, that never happened for him. And he should be extremely motivated. I think having a full offseason will help. He's played quite a bit. He plays quite a bit of games. They put a heavy load on him, not as much as, a Hellebuck and some of the other incredible goaltenders in the NHL. So that should benefit him to some degree, because Casey DeSmith is such a reliable backup. It's not like Jake is going to have to go out there and play 65 games or whatnot, like some of the workhorses in the NHL. He just played 54 last season. His goals saved above expected, that's kind of a hot number, 5.7, and that was 14th in the NHL. I don't think it's as bad as people think. I think sometimes it's over-exaggerated how poor his numbers are. And I know when you look at a save percentage, you see the 8 in front of it. It's not that great. And even his goals against a 2.59, and you look at others across the league, it's like, well, it's 2.2 and whatnot. But he was still in the top half of the league, which I think truly shows the expectations we've had for Jake have been high for a long time, and maybe some of that is unjustified. But the way he came into the league, and of course when he sprung onto the scene in that year against Calgary, it was just like, wow, this guy's going to take the Dallas Stars to the promised land. If he plays to that level with the teams he's had last few seasons, how do they not win the Stanley Cup? And he just hasn't quite played to that level. So this is a big year for Jake Oettinger. And if you asked me, I wasn't totally shocked that he came in at number 7, but he probably should be a tad lower. Yes, for Wallstad behind him, he had really good numbers. And let's face it, he outplayed Jake Oettinger in that series against Minnesota. I think there's an argument there. Maybe not for a few of the others behind him, but you can make an argument like Jakub Dobes. He had a good year. Dan Vladar in Philadelphia. Maybe not a goaltender a ton of Stars fans see on a daily basis or a nightly basis, but I could see the argument to have those guys in front of him. And I think that's maybe part of the problem. Should he really be an argument? Should that be an argument that those guys should be ahead of Jake Oettinger? We would like that not to be an argument. It should be like, well, yeah, clearly he's, top 5. He's in the Shesterkin, the Sorokin tier of goaltenders in the NHL. Can he play to that level? I think he can. Plus, the Stars are such a good team. They were very good defensively. So wouldn't that help Jake play better? I think in some areas, yes, but sometimes it feels like maybe not, because we know when he sees a lot of shots, seems like he plays really well. But those nights where he doesn't see a lot of action, it seems to end up with a couple of bad goals, soft goals here and there, and you're thinking, what is going on? This is not the Jake we just saw 4 days ago. But that's the, challenge and really evolution he has to eventually find. Can he just be that guy 9-9? You never have to worry about if Hellebuyck's going to show up. You're going to have a stinker here and there, right? I mean, Hellebuyck has stinkers, 2 or 3 probably a year, but that's 2 or 3. Jake, it feels like he's more like a half dozen to a dozen stinkers a year. Can he eliminate those? We'll find out. But the NHL and NHL Edge stats actually believes he's probably set for a bounce back because of strong underlying numbers. Do you agree? I'll tell you more in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by FanDuel. Baseball fans, if you think you know who's hitting a home run today, FanDuel is giving you a free chance to call your shot with daily dingers. It's easy to play. Just make your free pick for who you think will hit a home run in their game. If you're right, you'll receive a profit boost to use on your next bet for a chance at extra winnings. Best of all, you can make a free pick every day throughout the MLB season. Daily Dingers is another fun way to stay engaged with everyday's games, whether you're following your favorite team or keeping an eye on matchups across the league. Every game has someone capable of going deep. Now you get the chance to make your prediction before first pitch. Sometimes it's just a hitter that's been on a hot streak. Think Yordan Alvarez with the Houston Astros. He hits a home run, it feels like, every game. Maybe just a favorable pitching matchup. Even a ballpark that tends to give up more home runs. There's always things to look at before making your daily dingers picks, and it's so much fun to get in on the action. I know it's a bit of a dry season right now in terms of sports, but continue to stay involved and engage with Major League Baseball and the daily dingers picks on FanDuel. It is so much fun. So are you ready to play? Join all the action at FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com to play daily dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a home run. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of the MLB. I actually shared this information on yesterday's episode, I believe. Maybe it was a couple episodes last week, but I figured it was worthy of doubling down since we are talking about Mr. Jake Oettinger. And the NHL Edge put out an outlook for the Dallas Stars this season, NHL Edge stats, which I really highly recommend those of you that are Stars fans, and I imagine you are listening to this podcast, go out to NHL Edge and just check out some of the cool stuff that they have in there. We actually highlighted the Dallas Stars, speed bursts earlier this offseason, how Roope Hintz had like 95% of speed bursts above 22 miles per hour. And you can find really cool things like that. It also shows you shot charts like high danger chances, percentages, shooting percentages, and all that stuff. It breaks it down individually. So there's some really, really good stuff in there as well. But this talks about Oettinger's strong underlying metrics. And it says the Stars allowed the second fewest 5-on-5 goals last season, 138, just behind the Avalanche at 128. Dallas was tied for 5th in team save percentage at 897, of course, with Oettinger and Casey DeSmith. It also said Oettinger was tied for 8th in long-range saves during the regular season and then stopped 36 of 37 in the postseason against the Wild. DeSmith ranked 2nd in long-range save percentage, only behind Jake Allen, and was tied for 10th in mid-range save percentage last regular season. So Oettinger's save percentage, of course, we know was well below his career average, but he did have the 9th best goal differential at plus 31 and was tied for 10th in quality starts, which is starts that have a greater of a 900 save percentage. He had 27 of those last season, and he was 21-3-3 in those quality starts. So if he has a quality start, the Stars more than likely will win. So NHL Edge believes he could have a huge bounce back season, which of course is music to every Stars fan's ears. We certainly would like Jake to play up to that capability. It will be really fascinating to see how he gets along this year. One of the areas of problems, I should say, areas, department, whatever you want to call it, I think with Jake is high to the stick side, his blocker side. So his right arm, if you will, above his shoulder seems to be an area that teams pick on. His glove hand, not as much. I feel like he's got a good high glove. He usually kind of keeps it tied up there and makes some highlight reel saves with his glove. But it's that stick side above his right shoulder. Feels like it's a weakness for him, and teams kind of pick apart. That is always an area I try to hone in on throughout the season, because when he's making those saves, I feel like that's when he's playing his best. Also, I would like to see maybe just a tad more compete in his game. I've always said this about Jake. He is more methodical in the way he approaches the position. It's more positional goaltending, right? He just kind of gets in the area and he gets big, and sometimes the puck just hits him. And there are times where it seems that maybe he's lazy. I'm just saying it's the perspective. He's just maybe too quiet in net because he doesn't like to waste a lot of movements. I think it would be nice to see him maybe be a little bit more competitive or show a little more Casey DeSmith agility and just compete. Think about DeSmith and the starts he makes. He can be wild and wonky, but he never gives up on a puck. And I'm not saying Jake Oettinger does, but could he be a little bit less methodical and less positional and just be maybe a bit more athletic in the way he plays the position? And now, then again, this could be completely bonkers. I never played the position. I'm not pretending to. And he is a good goaltender. He's made it this far. Is he really going to take advice from some guy on a mic? Absolutely not. But we've seen it where it feels like he needs to pursue pucks a little bit better and really track. Sometimes he can get maybe overzealous and he over pursues, and that gets him in trouble. Maybe he's trying too hard in those moments. So it's always a balance. Of course, it is a balance that is hard to find. But look, I'm spitballing here and trying to work through areas that he can improve on. That way he can shine in victory green, because that is what I want to see for the Dallas Stars. Because if he does play up to that reputation, my goodness, the Stars are unbeatable. They are, with the roster they have, they could go all the way. We saw the Stars go all the way with Anton Hudobin, and that roster was good. But I think over the last few seasons, maybe not last year, but maybe the few previous seasons, if the Stars had that roster, probably maybe would have taken down the Lightning in 2020. Again, the Lightning they were a phenomenal team, but I think you feel like that team was probably deeper and better than that team in 2020. Now, it was a crazy year, an anomaly, but still, they went on a crazy run. And sometimes that's all you need is a goalie to just get on a heater. And when that happens, you can be pretty much unbeatable. And if Jake even plays to a smidge of his ceiling, I mean just within a grasp of what his ceiling is, man, the Stars will be a very, very dangerous team next year. But he comes in at number 7 just to kind of finish out the rankings that we mentioned. So Vladar, Wallstead, and Dobis were behind him. So 8, 9, 10, as I mentioned, Thompson, Swayman, Sorokin, Shesterkin, Hellebuck, and Vasilevsky. And Oettinger was ranked 5th last year. So he did drop a couple spots, which I think is justified. He did not have a great year. So there is plenty of areas that he can improve on. But as I said, that NHL Edge, they feel like maybe he can have a bounce back season. And if the Stars stay healthier, which may not be hard after all the injuries they went through last season, hey, they should be in good shape. So looking forward to seeing what Jake Oettinger can do next season. Again, it feels like it's the last year where you kind of give him the benefit of the doubt. It's make or break time for him. You're either going to be it, or maybe the Stars start to feel like, should we have given him that deal? And I hate for that to even be a conversation. I don't want it to come to that point, but it comes to a point with a lot of players. Jake Oettinger shouldn't be excluded from that conversation either. All right. Speaking of conversations, I don't know if it's a great segue, conflicts. The Stars and Mavs seem to have resolved their issues, but at this point, was there really anything to resolve? More on that in just a moment. Don't worry, Metroplex. The Dallas Stars and Dallas Mavericks have made amends. They're all good. It's all good in the hood now with the Dallas Stars and Dallas Mavericks. And of course, we are talking about the debacle and the conflict, the lawsuits that the Dallas Mavericks were firing towards the Dallas Stars, and just some of the pettiness that came out of the court hearings. But there was a press release, and I mean probably the shortest press release I have seen in my entire life. It has to be the shortest press release the Stars have ever sent out. And it says this: the Dallas Mavericks and Dallas Stars have reached an agreement that resolves the outstanding matters between the two organizations. American Airlines Center will continue to serve as the home of both teams at least through the 2030-31 season. Who knows what that means? We pretty much already knew that. I don't think they needed a press release to say that. I don't know what resolve means. There was some money, I think, that the Mavs are holding away from the Stars. Does that mean that money is being given back to Dallas and they can now take in that revenue? I don't know, but they have resolved this issue, I suppose. Who knows the details of it? That is literally all the press release says. Of course, at this point, did it really matter? Did this need to be said? Maybe it does, just to give the sense that, hey, like, we're amicable now. It's chill over here with the Mavs and Stars. But at this point, we all know the Stars are moving to Plano in 2031, and we all know that the Mavericks are moving to Addison. They are already kind of ready to rock and roll on their new stadium. Both teams are going to get a new stadium. I think they'll go their separate ways. And frankly, I think both teams may be happier. And the AAC probably not too thrilled, or at least the city of Dallas, I'm sure, is not jumping up and down about this. But I thought this was very, very funny. It became kind of bitter between the two teams. And I don't know. I just think it's funny, like, oh, it's resolved, but we're still moving and we're not going to stay here. So there you go. It was just sort of a Monday dump, if you will, Monday evening dump from both of these teams. Figured it was worthy to relay that information to some of you that maybe have not seen it, if you do not constantly scroll the social media landscape. So there you go. Way to go, Mavs. Way to go, Stars. I hope maybe the Stars got their money that was being held by the Mavericks. At this point, who cares? I think I saw a reply to the press release at one point that just said both teams could have, kind of told each other, to yourself and kind of move on, which it probably was sort of that, like, who cares? We're both moving at this point. Let's just, be, it's one of those, maybe like coworker you don't like situation. You don't have to be friends with them. You don't, you're not forced to go out and have drinks with them after work. Just play nice while you're in the building together for 4 or 5 more years. And then, once you move on, you move on. So that's the latest update there between the Stars and the Mavs. Trying to remember if I have anything else to kind of touch on before we wrap up to today's show. I don't think the Stars have had any other breaking news outside of them, or anything really in the NHL world. Single game tickets are available now for you Stars fans out there. Go ahead and get your tickets. Remember, we got games right around the corner. We are, I believe, just over a month now. I think September 19th is the first preseason game. Got Blues and Stars, and just 4 4 preseason games. Remember, it's going down even more. 4 preseason games, and then October 2nd. Yeah, it's time to go. Stars and Blues on opening night. It is going to be a really fun season. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. I'm excited for training camp to get going just to see how certain players get along. Is Tyler Seguin going to be kind of good to go? Is he going to be fully kind of 100%? No restrictions. Rantanen even. They Stars had multiple injuries. Are these guys going to come back healthy? And what are we going to get in those 4 preseason games? I'm curious just because there are less preseason games. Will we see more starters? Maybe see some of the bigger boys, the guys we expect to be on the team a bit more than in years past. So intrigued about all that and kind of how they take approach to training camp. And we see lines and pairings. Those are always really fun. So we're getting really, really close to that. And that's really all I have, I think, for today. So let's call it a night. Stars fans, thank you for love and support. As always, please like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Never miss an episode of Locked On Stars. We will be back, I think, in a couple days and continue to talk Stars hockey on a regular basis. Have a great day, Stars fans. See you in the next episode. So long.